And I could see that cautious Kalonzo is not leaving him. What was he saying? He's saying something, but he's unable to say it. Kalonzo bwana, wachilia break. Usipowachilia hii break gari iende, you are wasting your time, go home. Gashagua will run. So ukiona Gashagua amerun, amecalculate, amejua atashinda.
With or without Uhuru?
Yes. He's ready to face Uhuru head on and win.
Great to see you. Hello there and welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jedel Kibra. I'm so excited that you've joined us once again for our political conversations here. Conversations we hope will help our political leaders in making better policy and political decisions. I'm here with Prof. Manyora, the hard-hitting political analyst and university. Don, still at the university, Prof?
Yes, still there.
There's a battle looming in Mount Kenya, Jubilee versus DCP. And this is a conversation people are having in the country. But even before we talk about who is dominant there is Rigathi Gachagua has been blocked from launching DCP at Kasarani, saying this is an affront to democracy. He had already paid 3-point-something million shillings. Cheap moves, you think?
Cheap. Yes, of course. You ignore people and nobody will notice. You block them and everybody's talking about them. Yeah.
But should Gashagua be complaining? You can just look for another venue.
No, that's part of it. You must get a capital out of that. If you keep quiet, then you are not getting capital. The ones to keep quiet were Ruto and ignore him. And it will just be another small event. Who would know DCP? What is DCP? Who will even switch on their TV to watch, even if they paid? People can't stop what they are doing to watch what's going on in. Was it Kasarani or where?
Yeah, it was supposed to be in Kasarani. Yes. Now
they can make Gashagua launch it online. And in the process, recruit 5 million followers, members. If I'm Gachagua, that's what I'll do. I'll say, now, these people, let's do it online.
Recruit as many people on TikTok.
Log in.
Yeah.
And this is how you pay. Membership is 10 bob. Only. 5 million members.
Just like that?
Yeah.
Within a day?
5 million members. Live members.
Talk to me then about the fallout that looms when Gachagua launches his party. There's this conversation that if Jubilee doesn't fold, who will take over Mount Kenya? Do you think this is a conversation worth having, especially if Uhuru is not supporting the DCP side?
You see, it is important to draw a distinction between Uhuru and Jubilee. Jubilee is a weak party. Associated with Uhuru, yes, but weak. Almost non-existent, okay? But Uhuru is a different thing altogether. Uhuru is an institution. So if you don't distinguish between Uhuru and Jubilee, you are likely to get it wrong. So if you say there's conflict or competition between DCP and Jubilee, what are you saying? Is it Jubilee or is it Jubilee of Uhuru? Or is it Uhuru?
Jubilee, let's do Jubilee of Uhuru. Let's do Jubilee of Uhuru because he's still the party leader of Jubilee.
Yeah, you can just talk about Jubilee, the party, minus Uhuru. Uhuru is not in the picture. If you talk of Jubilee without Uhuru in the picture, then of course DCP is the stronger force. There's no competition between Jubilee and DCP. In fact, as things stand now, if you are not on DCP, you can't win an election in Mount Kenya. Yeah, but that is not to say DCP is in competition with Uhuru Kenyatta, because it can't.
Why do you think it has taken time for Uhuru to actually embrace DCP, embrace Gachagua publicly?
You see, Uhuru is a king of Mount Kenya. He's like the spiritual leader of Mount Kenya. And he's not in competition with people out for smaller positions. So those smaller positions can be occupied by people like Gachagua and the others. His position is up there himself. So why would he be in competition with them? Why should he try to interfere with them or fight them? Until and unless they bring the fight to his doorstep. When you something there must be something tangible to put them in direct conflict. Because they are not in conflict. He's the spiritual leader. Okay? Sort of. And these others are leaders at their own levels. That's why DCP is a strong party. That's why Gashagua is a strong person in the mountain. That's why DCP is the party to go to if you want to be elected. And not Jubilee for now. And the Uhuru remains superordinate up there. However, should there be a moment of choice when they must choose Uhuru and Gachagua, then they can have open conflict. And this can easily come about when the time comes for Uhuru to openly support somebody like Matiang'i, who, by the way, is the most popular presidential candidate on the mountain. You see, these things you must keep breaking.
Based on what?
Yeah?
When you're saying is the most popular, but based
the ground, on the ground. We know the ground. We live in this country. If you ask people Mount Kenya, out of every 10, who do you think is going to be president? They'll just Matiang'i, up to number 7 out of 10. So Gachagua has his own space. And for now, the people are not seeing Gachagua as a presidential candidate. No, they are not seeing him as a presidential candidate. They are seeing Matiang'i as a president on the mountain. The choice is between Matiang'i and Kalonzo. Gachagua is not in the mix. He's not featuring the people. Yet he has this.
Is this the ground or the political leaders?
That is the ground now.
You want to tell me the ground does not want a leader to come from that region?
Not necessarily so, but there is an unwritten understanding that surely this is not time for somebody from the mountain. Yeah. So they don't see Gachagua as somebody going for the presidency. They are just forced to pick between Kalonzo and Matiang'i. For now, Matiang'i has an upper hand. Tomorrow it could be different. Now, so where is the conflict possible? It is possible if Matiang'i is fronted by Uhuru openly. Gachagua, on the other hand, pushes for Kalonzo, for example, or Eugene. Then there's conflict. Now, at that time, we shall talk of a war between Uhuru and Gachagua. For now, there's none.
If that scenario happens,
Yes.
do you think the Mount Kenya region will vote for either? Or do you think the Mount Kenya region can look for someone else if Uhuru and Gachagua are in conflict? Do you think that could be the case scenario that Jimmy Wanjigi could actually be voted
It's
for?
possible. It's possible. It's possible. That confusion, as it often so happens, can give room for a third party. It's quite possible that the Mount Kenya people say, we wanted to support Matiang'i or Kalonzo. Now look at this nonsense. We can look at our own and Jimmy Wanjigi can be the candidate.
Do you think the right thing for Uhuru to do now is support Rigathi Gachagua? Do you think he should say that publicly for these questions that are arising with regards to the unity in Mount Kenya?
I don't think Uhuru has to come out openly now. It will be counterproductive. You remember Uhuru is a former president. President Uhuru is a statesman. A lot is at stake for him. For Uhuru, his stake goes beyond politics. Gachagua is a politician. He's playing politics. You can't invite Uhuru to play at that league. Uhuru has business to think of. His financial empire, the Kenyatta's financial empire. He has a name, the Kenyatta name to protect. He has his own name as a former president, a statesman, an internationally acclaimed statesman, a man with a name internationally. He can sit and dine with the best in the world. He has so much at stake. He can't reduce himself to a mere politician whining and dining with Gachagua. No, he can't. No, not Uhuru.
Then, so far, how would you assess Rigathi Gachagua's movement in the mountain? How would you assess how he has capitalized on his impeachment so far, now that he's coming up with DCP?
He has done a very good thing to unite the community. That's not a good thing as in I like it or I don't like it. A good thing in terms of for himself. He has managed to capture the imagination of the community and bring them together and command respect, which he could only have dreamt of if this impeachment had not happened. So he's achieved a lot because of the impeachment and the so-called persecution is going through. And
what's next? What's next for Gachagua?
He has to navigate it very well. First of all, Gachagua has to avoid at all costs conflict with Uhuru Kenyatta. Because whenever there is a conflict between the two, I can assure you Uhuru will prevail. Yeah.
But you're the one who says that Gachagua has elevated himself to that level of Raila.
Yes, that's where he's going, yeah.
Yeah, so how can he elevate himself in the mountain region without being in conflict with Uhuru Kenyatta?
No, he has so far done it. He has so far gotten somewhere. What I was saying in reference to Raila was that is what the government is doing for him now. The latest moves from the government, like trying to arrest him and persecuting him and these people, is now moving him towards that level where for the community he will be a Raila. If he finally gets there, he could be almost in conflict with Uhuru.
So if you look at these cases of Juja MP being found and Gashagua meeting him, it seems like a persecution of the DCP and even Gashagua himself. Is this what you're meaning? That
yes, those kind of things which government is doing, like stopping him from having his
launch.
You know, if he was like Raila, for example, he would go to Kasarani nevertheless. So we have paid and we are going. People come. And then the ensuing disturbances, fight between the people and the police. Those are the things that build the politicians. Okay. Especially in this part of the world.
Then finally, you said Mount Kenya is looking for Matiang'i or Kalonzo.
Yes.
What if Gachagua actually vies for president?
That's now where the problem is. And I've always said that...
and as you answer that, can Uhuru actually go for Matiang'i if Gachagua is vying?
It will be very difficult it will be a very difficult situation. Because by the time Gachagua decides to run, he will have made such a serious calculations and he will not get it wrong. There's no way Matiang'i will stand a chance against Gachagua. No. So both of them, Uhuru and Gachagua, have to be very calculating. Because you can't afford to get it wrong. There are situations in life where you cannot afford to get it wrong. Like you cannot take a plane up if it has the margin of error is such that it can crash. Okay? Yes. Engine paka iwe, the margin of error ya ndege nasikia sijui ni 0.0000, I don't know, whatever. I don't have the figures, but it's so high in terms of the zeros. I don't think Gachagua can decide to run before he convinces himself that his chances are extremely high. And neither will Uhuru go against Gachagua. If he knows Gachagua is doing so well, he will not manage to derail him. So both of them will make very serious calculations. So ukiona Gachagua amerun, amecalculate, amejua atashinda.
With or without Uhuru?
Yes. He's ready to face Uhuru, take Uhuru head on and win. Ukiona Uhuru ameamua to fight Gachagua, if Gachagua is running and Uhuru brings Matiang'i, he will also have made calculations that he will floor Gachagua. He will get 90% of the Mount Kenya votes. None of them can afford to miscalculate. No, it cannot work. Uhuru will not, Gachagua will not. So ukiona Gachagua amerun, and I've always said Gachagua can run under very simple circumstances. If he's not convinced any of these guys can win the election, if he's convinced somebody like Matiang'i may not have the courage required to face Ruto, Gachagua will run. If he looks at Kalonzo and sees this Kalonzo man has not changed, it's the same Kalonzo we have known over the years, he will not win. Let me tell you, I see a situation where Gachagua runs with Natembea.
Ignores everyone.
That is a deadly ticket. Deadly. And you see, Kalonzo and Matiang'i, who have been until perhaps now, maybe still are the top favorites. If they don't do anything to show they are up to the task, if they don't do anything and the time is running out, Gachagua will simply run, overtake them and run. So Matiang'i has to come out and show strongly that he commands the ground. He has the courage. Hata tishwa na Ruto. hata ambiwa go back to America na aende. You get it? He has the capacity to get friends from across the political divide. He has the force. If Matiang'i doesn't show that, he's inviting Gachagua to run. If Kalonzo remains the Kalonzo we know, I've seen of late he's trying to punch kidogo. But if he remains cautious, I saw him, he was speaking recently. And I could see that cautious Kalonzo is not leaving him. What was he saying? He's saying something, but he's unable to say it.
He was talking about Christmas party, Gashagua.
He's checking himself all the time. He's controlling what he's saying. Kalonzo bwana, wachilia break. Usipowachilia hii break gari iende, you are wasting your time. Go home. Gashagua will run. So Matiang'i must show that he will not be afraid hatatishwa na Kalonzo na Ruto. And he can move on the ground and make friends across and get a few people kina Eugene Nani and work with them. Otherwise Gashagua will run. Kalonzo asipowachilia break. I saw it. You saw it.
Yes.
I was so pissed off. What is wrong with this man? He's doing well, but he keeps checking himself. You can see he wanted to say something, but he puts himself in check. He has not outgrown that.
Is this the leader Kenyans are looking for? Is this the leader Kenyans are looking for?
People are not looking for somebody like that. Somebody who is decisive, who can make decisions, who can say unpopular things.
But the argument is Kibaki was just like that.
Kibaki, the circumstance that produced Kibaki, I don't know why my book has not come out. The circumstance that produced Kibaki, Kibaki was not just a product of Raila. Kibaki was a product of Moi, of the system. The timing of the founding of DP. Now Kina Linjiru are telling us about Matiba. We said these things. People are not believing us. Linjiru has told you they are the ones who took those vehicles.
Please post.
I had my friends, all of them, I used to be wherever I used to stay. People's vehicles were taken. Walikuwa napewa hata mapesa. Weka gari yako ende kwa msafara.
Yeah.
And I come on, Matiba is coming at you. Nairobi is a standstill. Ilikuwa a special branch, NIS. Linjiru told you recently.
So for those
he will soon tell you about Kibaki.
For those thinking Kalonzo can win.
No,
with this,
unless he changes. I looked, I said, Juicy. I said, what is wrong with this man? I think I should meet him and tell him, Kalonzo, what is your problem? This is your time to be president. Hii break unashikashika ni ya nini? Wachilia break. Kwani na wewe ni mtoto unaogopa utapigwa na nani?
Thanks for tuning into that conversation. It's all about margin of errors, calculations for 2027. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.